The rain was falling hard that Thursday morning. Maya and Maria walked quickly down the street. They were twin sisters, both 28 years old. They looked almost the same with their dark hair and brown eyes. Both women wore nice business suits and carried black umbrellas. The twins owned a small business together. They helped other companies solve problems and make better plans. They were smart and worked very hard. Every Thursday morning, they walked to their favorite coffee shop before going to their office. Maya was older by 3 minutes. She always reminded her sister about this. Maria would laugh and say 3 minutes did not matter. They were best friends and did everything together. They shared a house, worked together, and even finished each other's sentences. The street was quiet that morning. Most people were staying inside because of the heavy rain. Water ran down the sidewalks like small rivers. The twins walked carefully to avoid the big puddles. As they got closer to the coffee shop, they heard angry voices. Maya stopped walking first. She grabbed Maria's arm and pointed ahead. Under the old stone bridge, they could see 3 people. 2 men in dark uniforms were standing over an old woman. "What's happening over there?" Maria asked quietly. Maya squinted. "Through the rain. I don't know, but it doesn't look good." The twins moved closer. They could see the old woman more clearly now. She had gray hair and wore old, torn clothes. She was sitting on the ground next to some cardboard boxes and plastic bags. These were her only belongings. One of the men in uniform was talking loudly. "You can't stay here anymore. This is private property. You need to leave right now." The old woman looked up at him with tired eyes. "Please, sir, just give me a few more minutes. I need to pack my things." "No more time," the second man said. "We've been nice to you for too long. You're leaving now." Maya and Maria watched in shock as the first man reached down and grabbed the old woman's gray hair. He started pulling her up from the ground. The woman cried out in pain. "Stop, you're hurting me," she said, but the man kept pulling. The woman's feet slipped on the wet ground as he dragged her away from her belongings. Her plastic bags fell over and her things scattered everywhere. Maria gasped. "Maya, they're hurting her." Maya felt angry. She had never seen anything like this before. The old woman looked so small and helpless. The 2 big men were being cruel to someone who could not fight back. The woman tried to reach for something on the ground. It was a small picture frame. The rain had knocked it into a puddle of muddy water. She stretched her arm toward it, but the man kept pulling her away. "My husband's picture?" she said softly. "Please, I just need my husband's picture." The men did not care. They kept dragging her toward the street. The old woman's knees scraped against the rough ground. Her thin jacket was getting torn. Maya could not watch anymore. She closed her umbrella and started walking toward the men. Maria followed right behind her. "Excuse me," Maya said in a strong voice. "What are you doing?" The 2 men looked surprised. They had not seen the twins coming. The first man was still holding the old woman's hair. The second man had his hands on his hips. "This is none of your business, lady," the first man said. "Move along." "It is our business when we see someone being hurt," Maria said. She stood next to her sister. The old woman looked up at the twins with hope in her eyes. She had not expected anyone to help her. Most people just walked by and pretended not to see her. "Look, ladies," the second man said. "We're just doing our job. This woman can't stay here. She's been warned many times." Maya stepped closer. "Your job doesn't include hurting people. Let go of her hair right now." The first man loosened his grip but did not let go completely. "She needs to leave. That's all there is to it." "Fine," Maya said. "She leave, but you don't need to hurt her." Maria walked over to the puddle where the picture frame was lying. She bent down and picked it up carefully. The water had gotten inside the frame, but the picture was still there. It showed the old woman with a man who looked about her age. They were both smiling and looked very happy. "Is this yours?" Maria asked the old woman gently. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, that's my Harold. He was my husband." Maria wiped the frame with her sleeve and handed it to the woman. "Here you go." The old woman took the picture with shaking hands. She held it close to her chest like it was made of gold. The first security guard finally let go of her hair. Look, we don't want any trouble, but she can't stay here. Those are the rules. We understand, Maya said. But there are better ways to handle this. The twins helped the old woman stand up. She was very thin and looked weak. Her legs shook as she got to her feet. Thank you, she whispered to the twins. You are very kind. The second guard looked uncomfortable. Maybe he was starting to feel bad about what they had done. We need to clear this area. The city inspector is coming today. Maya nodded. Give us a few minutes to help her gather her things. The guard stepped back and watched as the twins helped the old woman collect her belongings. Most of her things were wet from the rain. She had some old clothes, a few books, and a small pot for cooking. Everything fit into 2 plastic bags. And a cardboard box. What's your name? Maria asked as she helped fold some clothes. Ruth? The woman said quietly. Ruth Henderson. I'm Maria, and this is my sister Maya. Ruth smiled for the first time. You girls are angels. I don't know why you stopped to help me. Maya looked at Ruth's tired face and felt sad. This woman reminded her of their own grandmother, who had died 2 years ago. Grandma had always taught them to help people who needed it. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect, Maya said. The security guards were getting impatient. Come on, let's go. We have other places to check. Ruth picked up her bags and started to walk away slowly. She looked back at the spot where she had been staying. It was just a small space under the bridge, but it had been her home. Maya and Maria watched her go. Ruth walked like every step hurt her feet. She was heading toward the street, but they could see she had nowhere to go. Wait, Maya called out. Ruth stopped and turned around. Maya looked at her sister. Maria looked back at her. They did not need to speak. They both knew what they had to do. You're coming with us? Maya said firmly but kindly. Ruth stared at the 2 young women with wide eyes. She could not believe what she had just heard. These strangers wanted to take her with them. In her 8 months on the street, no one had ever offered to help her like this. I can't, Ruth said, shaking her head. You don't even know me. I'm just a homeless old woman. Maya stepped closer to Ruth. The rain was still falling, and all 3 women were getting wet. You're not just anything. You're a person who needs help, and we want to help you. But I have nothing to give you back, Ruth said. Her voice was shaky. I lost everything when my husband died. Maria took Ruth's arm gently. You don't need to give us anything. Come on, let's get out of this rain. The twins led Ruth to their car, which was parked nearby. It was a blue Honda that they had bought together when they started their business. Maya opened the back door for Ruth and helped her put her bags inside. Ruth sat in the back seat and looked around. The car was clean and smelled nice. There were some business papers on the front seat and a coffee cup in the holder. This was so different from her life on the street. Maya started the car and turned on the heat. Are you warm enough back there? Ruth nodded but did not speak. She was still holding the picture of her husband close to her chest. The water had dried a little, but the frame was still damp. That's a nice picture, Maria said, looking back at Ruth. Your husband looks like a good man. Ruth's eyes filled with tears again. He was the best man in the world. Harold was his name. We were married for 43 years. That's a long time, Maya said as she drove through the rain. You must have many happy memories. Yes, Ruth said softly. We had a good life together. He made me laugh every single day. The twins exchanged a look. They could hear the love in Ruth's voice when she talked about Harold, but they could also hear the deep sadness. What happened to him? Maria asked gently. Ruth was quiet for a moment. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Harold got sick 2 years ago. It was cancer. The doctors tried to help him, but the cancer was too strong. Maya felt her heart break a little. She could not imagine losing someone she loved so much. I'm so sorry, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth said. Harold fought very hard. He stayed strong for me until the very end. Even when he was in so much pain, he would hold my hand and tell me jokes. He sounds wonderful, Maria said. Ruth smiled through her tears. Harold was a mechanic. He could fix anything with his hands. cars, washing machines, broken chairs. Nothing was too hard for him, and he always helped our neighbors for free. The twins were quiet as they listened. They were starting to understand what kind of man Harold had been, and what kind of woman Ruth was. Were you married long before he got sick? Maya asked. Oh, yes, Ruth said. We got married when I was 24. Harold was 26. We met at a church dance. I was too shy to dance, but Harold asked me anyway. I stepped on his feet all night, but he just kept smiling. Maria laughed softly. That's so sweet. We wanted to have children, Ruth continued, but it never happened for us. So we decided to help other people's children instead. I became a teacher. What grade did you teach? Maya asked. 3rd grade, Ruth said with pride in her voice. I taught for 35 years. I love those children so much. Every September, I would get a new class, and every June, I would cry when they moved on to 4th grade. The twins were amazed. Ruth was not just a homeless woman. She was a retired teacher who had spent her life helping children learn and grow. You must have been a great teacher, Maria said. I tried my best, Ruth said. Harold always said I had a gift with children. He would help me cut out shapes and letters for my classroom. We would stay up late making games and decorations. Maya pulled into the parking lot of a small diner. Let's get some coffee and food. You must be hungry. Ruth looked worried. I don't have any money. Don't worry about that, Maya said. This is our treat. Inside the diner, they found a corner booth away from other people. The waitress brought them menus and coffee. Ruth wrapped her hands around the warm cup and breathed in the smell. It had been so long since she had fresh, hot coffee. When did Harold get sick? Maria asked after they ordered food. Ruth took a sip of coffee before answering. It started with back pain. Harold thought he had just worked too hard at the garage where he worked, but the pain got worse and worse. Finally, I made him go to the doctor. And that's when they found the cancer? Maya asked. Ruth nodded. It was everywhere. The doctor said it had been growing for a long time. They wanted to try treatment, but they said it might not work. Did you try the treatment? Maria asked. Yes, Ruth said. Harold wanted to fight. We went to the hospital every week for 6 months. The medicine made him very sick, but he never complained. He would sit in that big chair getting the treatment. And tell me stories about the cars he used to fix? The waitress brought their food. Ruth had ordered soup and a sandwich. She ate slowly, like she was trying to make it last as long as possible. The treatment didn't work? Maya asked gently. Ruth shook her head. Harold got weaker instead of stronger. After 6 months, the doctor said there was nothing more they could do. They told us to go home and spend time together. How long did you have? Maria asked. 3 more months, Ruth said. Those were hard months, but they were also precious. Harold couldn't work anymore, so we had every day together. We would sit on our porch and watch the birds. Harold loved birds. The twins could see that talking about Harold made Ruth both happy and sad at the same time. We had a little house, Ruth continued. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Harold had painted it yellow because that was my favorite color. We had a small garden in the back where I grew vegetables. It sounds like a lovely home, Maya said. It was perfect for us, Ruth said. Harold died at home, holding my hand. His last words were, "Thank you for 43 beautiful years." Maria felt tears in her eyes. Ruth, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you, dear, Ruth said. I miss him every single day. But I'm grateful for the time we had. Maya was curious about something. If you had a house, how did you end up on the street? Ruth's face grew sad again. The cancer treatment cost so much money. Harold had some insurance from work, but it wasn't enough. We had to use all our savings. Then we had to borrow money against the house. Oh no, Maria said. After Harold died, I couldn't pay back the loan, Ruth said. I tried to work, but I was too old and too sad. I had never worked anywhere except the school, and they had already replaced me when I retired. Didn't you have any retirement money? Maya asked. A little, Ruth said. But it wasn't enough to pay for the house and buy food and medicine. I tried to get help, but the paperwork was so hard to understand. I didn't know what to do. So you lost the house? Maria asked. Ruth nodded. 8 months ago. One day, men came and told me I had to leave. They changed the locks and took my key. I could only take what I could carry. The twins could hardly believe what they were hearing. This kind, gentle woman had lost everything because her husband got sick. Where did you go? Maya asked. I didn't know where to go, Ruth said. I had no family left. Harold and I were each other's only family. I tried staying at a shelter for a few nights, but it was scary. So I found that spot under the bridge. Why there? Maria asked. Ruth smiled sadly. Because it's only 6 blocks from the cemetery where Harold is buried. I visit him every day. I tell him about my day and ask him what I should do. I know he can't answer me, but it makes me feel less alone. Maya felt a lump in her throat. Ruth had been living under a bridge just to stay close to her husband's grave. I talk to him about the birds I see, Ruth continued. He would like that. And I tell him about the kind people I meet, like you two. The twins looked at each other. Across the table, they both knew they couldn't let Ruth go back to living on the street. Maya and Maria sat quietly for a moment after Ruth finished her story. The diner was warm and comfortable, but both twins felt heavy hearts. They looked at this gentle woman who had lost everything, and they knew they had to do something more. Then just buy her lunch. Maya reached across the table and put her hand on Ruth's arm. Ruth, we want to ask you something important. Ruth looked up from her soup. What is it, dear? We don't want you to go back to living under that bridge, Maria said firmly. Ruth's eyes grew wide. But where else can I go? I have no money for a room, and the shelters are full. Maya looked at her sister. They had talked about this without saying any words. It was something twins could do. They could read each other's thoughts just by looking into each other's eyes. You can come stay with us, Maya said. Ruth almost dropped her spoon. What? Oh no, I couldn't do that. You don't even know me? We know enough, Maria said. We know you're a good person who needs help. We know you loved your husband and spent your life teaching children. We know you're not on the street because you did anything wrong. But I'm a stranger, Ruth said. Your families won't like it, and I have nothing to pay you with. Maya smiled. We don't have families to worry about. Our parents died in a car accident 5 years ago. It's just us. And our grandmother raised us after that, Maria added. Before she died 2 years ago, she always told us to help people who needed it. She said that's what family does. Ruth's eyes filled with tears again. You girls are so kind, but I can't be a burden to you. You have your own lives. You're not a burden, Maya said strongly. You're a person who deserves a safe, warm place to sleep. But what would I do all day? Ruth asked. I can't just sit around your house and do nothing, Maria laughed gently. Trust me, we can find things for you to do. Our house is always messy because we work so much, and neither of us can cook very well. I love to cook, Ruth said quietly. Harold always said I made the best pot roast in town. See, Maya said. We need someone who can cook, and you need a place to stay. It's perfect. Ruth was quiet for a long time. She looked at the picture of Harold that was sitting on the table next to her coffee cup. The twins could see she was thinking hard. What would Harold tell you to do? Maria asked softly. Ruth smiled through her tears. He would tell me to stop being stubborn and say yes to these nice girls. Maya clapped her hands together. Then it settled. You're coming home with us. Just for a little while, Ruth said. Quickly, until I can figure out what to do next. For as long as you need, Maria corrected her. They finished eating and went back to the car. Ruth sat in the front seat this time so she could see where they were going. The twins' house was in a nice neighborhood with tree-lined streets and small front yards. This is beautiful, Ruth said as they pulled into the driveway. It was our grandmother's house, Maya explained. She left it to us when she died. We moved in together to save money and because we like living together. The house was a small, 2-story home painted white with blue shutters. There was a front porch with 2 rocking chairs and flower boxes under the windows. It looked like the kind of house where happy families lived. Are you sure about this? Ruth asked one more time as they got out of the car. Very sure, both twins said at the same time. Maria unlocked the front door and led Ruth inside. The house was cozy and comfortable. There were family pictures on the walls and soft furniture that looked lived in. Books were scattered around and there were coffee cups on the side tables. I told you we're messy, Maria said with embarrassment. This isn't messy, Ruth said, looking around. This is lived in. It feels like a real home. The twins showed Ruth. Around the house, there was a living room, kitchen, and small office on the first floor. Upstairs were 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. This can be your room, Maya said, opening the door to the guest bedroom. Ruth gasped. The room had a big, comfortable bed with a pretty quilt. There was a dresser, a chair by the window, and a small table with a lamp. Sunlight was coming through. The clean windows. It's beautiful, Ruth whispered. I haven't slept in a real bed for 8 months. The bathroom is right next door, Maria said. There are clean towels and soap in there. Ruth set her plastic bags down on the floor and sat, carefully on the edge of the bed. She bounced a little to test how soft it was, then smiled like a child. Why don't you take a hot shower and rest for a while? Maya suggested. We'll make some tea and figure out what you need. I don't have any clean clothes to change into. Ruth said sadly. Everything I own is dirty. Don't worry about that, Maria said. We'll find you something to wear, and we can wash your clothes. The twins left Ruth alone to settle in. They went downstairs to the kitchen and sat at the table. Both of them were quiet for a few minutes. Are we doing the right thing? Maya asked her sister. What do you mean? Maria replied. I mean, we just brought a stranger into our house. We don't really know anything about her except what she told us. Maria looked at her sister with surprise. Do you think she was lying? No, Maya said quickly. I believe her story, but what if this is harder than we think? What if she's sick and needs expensive medicine? What if she can't take care of herself? Then we'll figure it out, Maria said firmly. Mia, remember what Grandma always told us? She said that when you see someone who needs help, you don't stop to think about what it might cost you. You just help. Maya nodded. You're right. It's just scary to make such a big decision so fast. Look, Maria said. We have extra space, we have more money than we need, and Ruth seems like a lovely person. Even if it doesn't work out perfectly, we'll have done something good. What if she wants to stay forever? Maya asked. Then maybe she should, Maria said. This house is too big for just the 2 of us anyway. And I liked listening to her talk about Harold and her teaching. She has interesting stories. Maya smiled. I liked her stories too. She reminds me of Grandma. Exactly, Maria said. Grandma would have loved Ruth. They heard the shower running upstairs. It was a happy sound. They couldn't remember the last time someone else had used their guest bathroom. What do we do now? Maya asked. Now we help her get back on her feet, Maria said. We help her get the money she's owed? We help her find out what benefits she can get. We help her feel like a person again instead of just someone living on the street. And if she wants to stay with us after that? Maya asked. Maria thought about it for a moment. Then we'll have gained a friend, maybe even family. They heard the shower turn off upstairs. A few minutes later, Ruth came down wearing one of Maria's robes. Her hair was clean and combed back from her face. She looked younger and more like the teacher she used to be. That was the best shower I've had in months, Ruth said with a big smile. Good, Maya said. Are you hungry? We could make dinner. Let me cook, Ruth said quickly. It's the least I can do. What do you have in your kitchen? The twins showed Ruth their refrigerator and pantry. She found chicken, vegetables, and rice. Within an hour, she had made a delicious meal that smelled better than anything the twins had eaten in months. As they sat around the table eating, Ruth looked at both young women. I still can't believe you did this for me. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find out it was all a dream. It's not a dream, Maya said. You're safe now. For tonight, at least, Ruth said. For as long as you want to be, Maria corrected. Her Ruth was quiet as she ate. Finally, she spoke again. I have to ask you something. Why did you really do this? There has to be more to it than just being kind. The twins looked at each other. Maya spoke first. Do you want the honest answer? Yes, Ruth said. When I saw that man dragging you by your hair, I felt so angry, Maya said. But it wasn't just anger. It was personal. You reminded me of someone. Who? Ruth asked. Our grandmother, Maria said. She was small and gentle like you. When she got old, we worried about what would happen to her. We were afraid she might end up alone and scared. But she didn't, Maya continued. She had us. She died peacefully in her own bed, surrounded by people who loved her. Everyone should have that. Ruth wiped tears from her eyes. Your grandmother was lucky to have you. No, Maria said. We were lucky to have her. And maybe now we're all lucky to have found each other. They finished dinner as the sun was setting outside. Ruth insisted on washing the dishes while the twins dried them and put them away. It felt natural, like they had been doing this for years instead of just one day. What happens tomorrow? Ruth asked as they finished cleaning up. Tomorrow we start helping you build a new life, Maya said. But tonight, Maria added, you get to sleep in a real bed with clean sheets and know that you're safe. Ruth hugged both twins tightly. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for seeing me as a person. Worth saving. Ruth woke up the next morning and forgot where she was for a moment. She was lying in a soft, warm bed instead of on cardboard under a bridge. The sun was shining through clean windows, and she could smell coffee brewing downstairs. For 8 months, Ruth had woken up every morning feeling afraid. She never knew if someone would chase her away or if it would rain on her things. But this morning felt different. This morning felt safe. She put on the clothes that Maria had given her the night before. They were a little big, but they were clean and warm. Ruth looked at herself in the mirror and was surprised. She looked more like her old self, the teacher, who had worn nice clothes and helped children learn. Downstairs, Maya and Maria were in the kitchen. They had made coffee, toast, and eggs. Ruth could not remember the last time someone had made breakfast for her. Good morning, Maya said with a smile. Did you sleep well? Like a baby, Ruth said. That bed is so comfortable. I think I slept. For 10 hours straight. You needed it, Maria said, putting a plate of food in front of Ruth. Your body has been working hard just to survive. Now it can rest. As they ate breakfast, the twins explained their plan for the day. Maya had called in sick to work so she could help Ruth with important paperwork. Maria would join them later after she finished some business meetings. First, we need to go to the Social Security office, Maya said. You might be able to get benefits that you don't know about. I tried that once, Ruth said sadly. The forms were so confusing, I didn't understand what they wanted from me. That's why I'm coming with you, Maya said. 2 heads are better than 1. After breakfast, Maya and Ruth drove to the Social Security office. It was a big, gray building with long lines of people waiting. Ruth felt nervous just looking at it. I hate places like this, Ruth whispered to Maya. Everyone looked so tired and sad. We'll get through it together, Maya said. Squeezing Ruth's hand, they waited in line for an hour before talking to a worker behind a thick glass window. The woman looked bored and spoke very fast. Maya had to ask her to repeat things several times. Mrs. Henderson, the woman said, looking at her computer screen. You were married for 43 years? Yes, Ruth answered. And your husband worked as a mechanic? Yes, for 32 years at the same garage. The woman typed on her keyboard for a few minutes. Then she looked up with surprise. Mrs. Henderson, you're entitled to survivor benefits. You should have been getting money every month since your husband died. Ruth's eyes went wide. What do you mean? Your husband paid into Social Security for all those years, the woman explained. When he died, you became eligible to receive part of his benefits. That's about $800 a month. Maya grabbed Ruth's arm. Ruth, do you hear that? You're supposed to be getting money every month. But nobody told me, Ruth said, with confusion. You have to apply for it, the woman said. It doesn't start automatically, but we can backdate it to when your husband died. That means you'll get all the money you missed. Maya did quick math in her head. $800 a month for 24 months was over $19,000. That was enough money for Ruth to rent an apartment and buy food and clothes. "How long does it take to get the money?" Maya asked. "About 6 weeks for the paperwork to go through," the woman said. "But the first check will include all the back payments." Ruth started crying right there at the window. She could not believe. That help had been available all this time, and she just hadn't known about it. They spent 2 hours filling out forms and making copies of Harold's death certificate and their marriage license. Ruth had kept these important papers with her even when she was living on the street. "Why didn't anyone tell me about this when Harold died?" Ruth asked Maya as they walked back to the car. "Sometimes the system doesn't work the way it should," Maya said. "People fall through the cracks. But the important thing is we figured it out now." Their next stop was the bank where Ruth and Harold had their account. Maya wanted to see if there was any money left that Ruth didn't know about. The bank manager was a kind man who remembered Harold from when he used to come in. "Mrs. Henderson," he said, shaking Ruth's hand, "I'm so sorry for your loss." Harold was a good man. "Thank you," Ruth said. "I'm wondering if there's anything left in our account. I thought it was all gone." The manager looked at his computer. "Actually, there is still $63 in your checking account. We've been keeping it open because we hoped you would come back. It wasn't much money, but it was something. More importantly, it meant Ruth could have a bank account again. The Social Security checks would need somewhere to go." "There's something else," the manager said. Harold had a small life insurance policy through his work. It was only for $5,000, but the insurance company has been trying to find you. Ruth nearly fell out of her chair. $5,000? "Yes," the manager said. "They sent letters to your old address, but of course you weren't there to get them. I have the insurance company's phone number. We can call them right now." Within an hour, Ruth had filled out the paperwork to claim Harold's life insurance money. Combined with the Social Security back payments, she would have enough money to start over. On the drive home, Ruth was very quiet. Maya could see that she was thinking hard about something. "What's wrong?" Maya asked. "I thought you'd be happy about the money." "I am happy," Ruth said. "But I'm also confused." "About what?" "About what this means," Ruth said. "If I'm going to have money, then I don't need to stay with you and Maria. I can get my own place." Maya felt a little sad when Ruth said this, but she tried not to show it. "Is that what you want to do?" Ruth was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. Part of me wants my own space again. But part of me is scared to be alone." "You don't have to decide right now," Maya said. "The money won't come for 6 weeks. That gives you time to think about what you want." When they got home, Maria was already there with groceries for dinner. She was excited to hear about Ruth's good day at the Social Security office and the bank. "This is wonderful news," Maria said, hugging Ruth. "You're going to be okay." "Thanks." "To you girls," Ruth said. "I never would have figured this out on my own." That evening, as Maria cooked dinner, Ruth insisted on helping. She was good at cutting vegetables and knew how to make everything taste better with the right spices. "Where did you learn to cook so well?" Maria asked. "From Harold's mother," Ruth said with a smile. "When we got married, I could barely boil water. She taught me all her recipes. Harold said I was a better cook than his mother, but I think he was just being nice." "I doubt that," Maya said, tasting the soup Ruth was making. "This is delicious." As they cooked together, Ruth told them more stories about her life with Harold. She talked about the trips they took, the friends they had, and the students she taught over the years. "Do you miss teaching?" Maria asked. "Every day," Ruth said. "Those children were like my own kids. I loved watching them learn new things. There's nothing better than seeing a child's face light up when they finally understand something that was hard for them." Maya had an idea. "Ruth, what if you could teach again?" "What do you mean?" Ruth asked. "Well, you're not too old to work," Maya said, "and there are always places that need good teachers. Maybe not in a regular school, but there are after-school programs, tutoring centers, adult education classes." Ruth looked interested but worried. "Do you think anyone would hire me?" "I've been out of work for 2 years, and I don't look very professional anymore." "We can fix that," Maria said. A new haircut, some nice clothes, and you'll look like the professional teacher you are. But where would I work? Ruth asked. We'll help you find something, Maya promised. There's a community center near here that offers free tutoring to kids who need extra help. I bet they'd love to have someone with your experience. Ruth's eyes lit up for the first time since Harold died. Do you really think I could do that? I know you could, Maria said. You have 35 years of experience. That doesn't just go away. Over the next few weeks, Ruth slowly began to rebuild her life. Maya and Maria helped her shop for new clothes and get her hair cut and styled. They practiced interview questions with her and helped her write a resume. Ruth also started tutoring the neighbor children for free. Word spread quickly that there was a retired teacher living with the twins who could help kids with their homework. Soon, Ruth had children coming over every afternoon. I love this, Ruth told the twins one evening after helping a little boy. With his reading, I had forgotten how good it feels to help children learn. You're glowing, Maria said. You look 10 years younger than when we first met you. I feel younger, Ruth said. Having a purpose again makes all the difference. The twins were amazed at how much Ruth had changed in just a few weeks. She was no longer the scared, broken woman they had found under the bridge. She was becoming her old self again, confident, caring, and full of life. But the biggest change was in how the three women felt about each other. They had become a real family. Ruth cooked meals that reminded the twins of their grandmother's cooking. The twins helped Ruth with things she didn't understand, like using a computer and navigating government paperwork. I have something to tell. You girls, Ruth said one evening as they sat on the front porch watching the sunset. What is it? Maya asked. 6 months had passed since that rainy Thursday morning when Maya and Maria first saw Ruth being dragged by her hair under the bridge. Now, Ruth stood in front of a room full of people at the community center, wearing a nice blue dress and speaking with confidence. My name is Ruth Henderson, she said into the microphone. 6 months ago, I was homeless and living under a bridge. Today, I'm here to tell you that no matter how dark things get, there is always hope. The audience was quiet, listening to every word. There were business people, volunteers, city officials, and other seniors who had found themselves in difficult situations. Ruth's story had become an inspiration to many people in the town. Maya and Maria sat in the front row, beaming with pride. They watched Ruth command the room with the same confidence she must have had when she was teaching third graders. I lost my husband Harold 2 years ago, Ruth continued. The medical bills and grief nearly destroyed me. I lost my house, my savings, and for a while I lost hope. But I learned that sometimes our greatest blessings come disguised as our worst moments. Ruth looked at the twins and smiled. 2 young women saw me at my lowest point and decided to help. They didn't know me. They had no reason to care about an old homeless woman. But they chose kindness over convenience. The audience applauded, but Ruth raised her hand to continue. Those young women are Maya and Maria Santos, Ruth said, gesturing to the twins. They not only gave me a home, but they helped me discover something important. They helped me realize that my story could help other people. This presentation was the launch of Bridge to Hope, a new program that Maya, Maria, and Ruth had created together. It was designed to help homeless seniors get back on their feet by connecting them with resources, temporary housing, and support. The idea had started small. After Ruth moved in with the twins, word spread about their unusual living arrangement. People began asking for advice about elderly relatives who were struggling. The twins realized that Ruth's situation was not unique. Many seniors were falling through the cracks of the system. We discovered that there are hundreds of seniors in our area who don't know about the benefits they're entitled to, Ruth explained to the audience. Many of them are too proud to ask for help, or they don't know where to go. Some are like, I was overwhelmed by paperwork and bureaucracy. The program they created was simple but effective. Volunteers, many of them retired professionals, would help seniors navigate government benefits, apply for housing assistance, and access medical care. The twins used their business skills to organize the program, while Ruth used her teaching experience to train the volunteers. In our first 6 months, we've helped 47 seniors find stable housing, Ruth announced proudly. The audience applauded again. After Ruth's presentation, people surrounded her with questions and praise. Maya and Maria watched from across the room as Ruth patiently answered each person's questions and gave encouragement to those who needed it. "Look at her," Maria said to her sister. "She's in her element." "I know," Maya replied. "It's like watching a flower bloom. She was always this person inside, but she just needed the right conditions to grow again." An elderly man approached the twins. "Excuse me, are you Maya and Maria?" "Yes," they said together. "I wanted to thank you," the man said. "My name is Frank, and Ruth helped me get my veterans benefits last month. I had been trying to figure out the paperwork for 2 years. She sat with me for 3 hours and walked me through every form." Maya smiled. Ruth loves helping people. It's what she was born to do. "Well, I wanted you to know that what you started by helping her has rippled out to help many more people," Frank said. "My wife and I are thinking about volunteering for your program." Stories like Frank's had become common. Ruth's natural gift for helping people, combined with her own experience of being lost in the system, made her an excellent advocate for other seniors in need. The community center had given them office space for free, and local businesses had donated computers and office supplies. The program was growing faster than they had expected. "Ruth," Maya said as they drove home that evening, "how does it feel to be a public speaker?" Ruth laughed, terrifying and wonderful at the same time. "I never thought I'd be talking to rooms full of strangers about my personal life." "You're a natural," Maria said. "You should have seen people's faces during your speech. You had them hanging on every word." "It's because the story is true," Ruth said. "People can tell when someone is being honest about their struggles and their blessings." When they arrived home, Ruth went straight to her room to change clothes. The house had changed over the months. Ruth's cooking smells filled the kitchen. Her plants sat in the windows. Photos of Harold now shared space with pictures of the twins' family. The guest bedroom had become Ruth's permanent room, decorated with her things and full of the tutoring materials she used with the neighborhood children. Every afternoon after school, at least 3 kids would show up at the door asking for Mrs. Ruth. "Girls," Ruth called from upstairs, Mrs. Chun called. "She wants to know if you can come to dinner on Sunday. She wants to thank you for helping her get into senior housing." Mrs. Chun was another success story. She had been living in her car for a month when Frank told her about Bridge to Hope. Now she had a small apartment and was volunteering to help other seniors. "Tell her yes," Maya called back. "We'd love to come." The twins had been amazed at how much their own lives had changed since Ruth moved in. Their business was doing better than ever, partly because Ruth's organizational skills had helped them become more efficient. But more importantly, they felt like they were part of something bigger than just making money. "Do you ever regret it?" Maria asked Maya as they made tea in the kitchen. "Regret what? Bringing Ruth home that day?" "Our lives are so different now." Maya thought about it for a moment. "Different how?" "Well, we're always busy with the program. We spend our weekends visiting seniors and training volunteers. We have kids coming over every day for tutoring. Our quiet house has become not quiet." Maya smiled. "Are you complaining?" "No," Maria said quickly. "I love it. I just wondered if you missed the way things used to be." "I don't miss it at all," Maya said. "I feel like we were just existing before. Now we're actually living." Ruth came downstairs wearing comfortable clothes and started preparing dinner. This had become their routine. Ruth cooked, and the twins cleaned up afterward. They would sit around the table and talk about their day, just like a real family. "I have something to show you girls," Ruth said as they ate. She pulled out a letter from her purse. "What is it?" Maya asked. "It's from the State Education Department," Ruth said, beaming. "They want to give me an award for my volunteer work with Bridge to Hope." "Ruth, that's wonderful!" Maria exclaimed. "The ceremony is next month," Ruth continued. and they want to know if I'll consider coming out of retirement to work part-time as a consultant for senior education programs. The twins looked at each other with excitement. Are you going to do it? Maya asked. I think I might, Ruth said. It would only be a few days a month, helping other organizations set up programs like ours, and the pay would be good. You should. Definitely do it, Maria said. You have so much knowledge and experience to share. Ruth looked around the table at her chosen family. A year ago, I thought my life was over. I had lost Harold, lost my home, lost my purpose. I didn't think I had anything left to give to the world. And now? Maya prompted. Now I wake up every morning excited about what the day will bring, Ruth said. I have work that matters, a home filled with love and people who care about me. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. After dinner, they went to their usual spots on the front porch. Ruth sat in Harold's old rocking chair, which the twins had bought at a second-hand store when they learned she missed having a rocking chair. Maya and Maria shared the porch swing their grandmother had loved. Ruth, Maria said as they watched the sunset, do you still miss Harold? Every single day, Ruth answered without hesitation. But missing him doesn't hurt the same way it used to. Now, when I think about him, I mostly remember the good times. And I think he'd be proud of what we're doing. I think he would be too, Maya agreed. You know what I think Harold would say if he could see us now? Ruth asked. What? The twins asked together. Ruth smiled. He'd say that love never really dies, it just changes shape. The love I had with Harold led me to you girls. And the love we share as a family is helping us love other people who need it. As the stars came out, neighbors began stopping by to say hello. Mrs. Patterson from next door brought over some cookies she had baked. The Johnson family came by to thank Ruth for helping their son with math homework. Even the mailman stopped to chat about his elderly mother who lived in another state. This is what community is supposed to feel like, Ruth said as the last neighbor headed home. We never had this before you came, Maya observed. We knew our neighbors, but we weren't really connected to them. That's because you weren't rooted yet, Ruth explained. Young people are always moving, always changing, but when you commit to a place and the people in it, that's when real community happens. The twins had been thinking about this a lot lately. Before Ruth, they had seen their house as a temporary stop.